Starting with the ancient history of Karachi, in the year 1723, the present town of Karachi had no existence. There stood a town, Karakbanda by name, a seaport town, great in commercial renown, on the other side of the river hub. Karachi Creek had about 20 to 25 huts of fishermen. The spot at that time was called Dibro. There was also a pool of water close by, which was known by the name of Karachi Jo Kun. Kun meant a deep ditch, while Karachi was the name of a fisherman. Everything was moved from Karakbanda to Karachi Jo Goat, or Karachi, as it was then called, in about the year 1729. There was a fort made at Karachi Jo Goat, which had an area of 30 to 35 acres. It had two entrances. One facing the sea to the west was called Khara Darwaza. The other facing Liari River of sweet water towards the northeast was called Mitha Darwaza. The tribe ruling Sindh at the time was known as Kalharas. It so happened that one Jarak Khan, brother to the ruling Khan of Kalar, was killed by the Kalharas. As a recompense, the Kalharas ceded Karachi to the Khan of Kalat. In 1832, the Amirs signed a treaty opening up the river Indus to commerce. In the year 1842, Sir Charles Napier, who wanted passage through Sindh to send war materials and foodstuffs for the first Afghan war by the river via Thatta, conquered Sindh in the Battle of Son Miani, as the Mirs would not condescend to let him do so as a favor. He made Hyderabad the capital city, since it had a nice fort made by the Kalharas. But he found Hyderabad too hot for the British soldiers and officers during summer. So he sent one Captain Richard Burton to proceed to Karachi and report if it would be advisable to shift the capital there. Burton came on horseback with a young subaltern. It took him 10 days to travel up to Karachi. He reported that as Karachi was by the sea, it was much cooler, and there was the advantage of trade with Persian Gulf through the sea route. This made Napier shift the capital to Karachi forthwith. He built for the European army the Napier barracks, where even now several government offices are lodged, and they were built with such engineering skill that up to date not a stone has moved out of its place. He left Sindh finally for England in 1847. Mr. B. Freer became the Commissioner of Sindh, who afterwards became Sir Bartle Frere, the Governor of Bombay. He first mooted the idea of doing away with the dirty, filthy, gruesome conditions of Karachi by forming a municipality on the lines of one formed in Ahmedabad in Bombay Presidency. He started it with a managing committee consisting of Captain Preedy, the revenue collector, Mr. John MacLeod, the collector of custom, after whom the famous MacLeod Road is in Karachi's name, and St. Naumal Hodgson, whose famous memoir has left such a fund of information for the present and future generations about Sindh, its ancient rulers, and its conquest by the British. The taxes levied by the small committee were 4 annas per hundredweight on sugar and 1 pice per kandi, 1 grain. In the first year, the municipal income amounted to 6,000 rupees, the next year 18,000, and in the third year it rose to 27,000. Thereafter, Sabatul Freya made over to Karachi municipality all waste land in Karachi, the property of government, with the result that a large revenue was raised with the sale thereof. The grateful public built a magnificent monument in his honor known as the Freer Hall in 1865. And even today, it is the most artistic and imposing landmark in Karachi. Another magnificent monument raised some 7 years after for Commissioner Mr. Meriwether is the famous Meriwether Tower in the city. The Holy Trinity Church on Bonus Road near the present American Methodist Girls' School is another famous landmark whose foundation stone was laid on the 9th September 1842 by Mr. B. Freya, the then Commissioner of Karachi. Similarly, the Bolton Market in the city was named after Mr. Bolton, the Municipal Commissioner of Karachi. From the present Paradise Cinema on Victoria Road up to the Burns Gardens, all round there was a fort where the British artillery was kept as also an arsenal. Every morning about 15 to 20 guns, each pulled by 6 horses, ridden by European soldiers, were taken out for exercise, and the impact on the Kacha road was so great that nearby houses, including mine in the present Katrak building on junction of Clark Street and Victoria Road, used to shake from their very foundations. Several times the glasses of the doors and windows used to break with the terrible rattling and vibrations. As a part of the old barracks for the artillery, we still see the buildings occupied at present by the military estate officer and 1 or 2 ministers' secretariats. In 1892, the population of Karachi was 60,000. In 1945, it went up to 300,000. The First World War of 1914-18 gave considerable boost up to Karachi. In fact, Basra became the base and Karachi became the grocer's shop of India and supplied much of the food and equipment to the British and Allied forces in the area. The city's coffers swelled to bursting point with such a profitable source of income. As a result, several new buildings began to shoot up. The Imperial Bank of India, the Lloyds Bank, and the safe deposit vaults on the McLeod Road, etc., could be cited as an instance. In the development of Karachi, mention must be made of late Jamshed Nasranji Mehta. Born of a well-to-do Parsi family and with most modest education, he came in touch in his early teens with the famous theosophist Dr. Mrs. Annie Besant, which enthused him to fall headlong into public service, and till the end of his days he served the city with a single devotion. He was the president of the Karachi Municipal Corporation for about 10 years at a stretch, during which he brought the present magnificent municipal building into existence at a cost of 19 lakhs of rupees. He brought many new roads in Karachi into being by pulling down several houses that came in the way of alignment and improved upon the lighting system. Late Sir Jangir Kothari, another famous Parsi globetrotter, who went round all the continents 9 times, built Lady Lloyd's Pier, which is the beauty of Karachi's Clifton Beach, and brought into the existence Kothari Parade, where thousands repair for fresh air every Sunday and on holidays. 12 miles away from Karachi is a place called Magarpi. It's a well-known swamp fed by a hot spring of reputed medical value. Adjoining it is the shrine of Pir Mango, an ancient Mohammedan saint, which is visited by many pilgrims. The swamp is filled with huge alligators, some 40 in number, which are called muggers. The name has been changed by the English from Peer Mungo to Mugger Peer. One day, in the beginning stages, when there was no circular wall round the swamp, Captain Richard Burton, with a young subaltern, happened to come there on their horses. The alligators had formed a long line while basking in the sun. Said Burton to the young subaltern, "If you jump over these alligators' bridge, I shall wage 10 pounds. The rash and inexperienced young soldier did jump over and reached the other end by just saving his life with the skin of his teeth. Some 1 mile from this pond of alligators is the Lepers Asylum, in building of which a very prominent part was taken by Sadhu Hiranan. A silent Parsi social worker, late Mr. Meriwether Tower Spencer, M.A., used to go there on every Sunday for 30 years and used to feed the lepers and pray with them and encourage them to have faith in God and submit to their lot as ordained by him. The present government has a scheme in view whereby the hot spring baths and the dirty bazaar and the dilapidated Lepers Asylum will be improved in a way that it will make a nice outing spot for the citizens of Karachi. I might here only mention that I have written a book called Karachi That Was the Capital of Sin, which is available on every bookshop, and the listeners of the speech may be benefited by having a perusal of this book at any time they like.